Howdy, virtual denizens, this is Brutal Sloth. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this Stellar Blade demo that came out last month, as it's been getting quite a bit of media attention. So I thought to myself, Sloth, you better give it a gander. In this age, it seems the journalists and Twitter activists just cannot abide any sort of sexy being made for folks. They believe that the male gaze and natural attractions are toxic and dangerous, as if women don't also enjoy pretty things on their screens. Funny how they never seem to mention that the overinflation of male physicality exists and that there is also a female gaze. Anyway, the truth is plain and simple. If developers can decide to cater to Twitter activists and journos, then there's no good reason why developers should not be allowed to appeal to gamers that want something beautiful, sexy, and ideal on their screen. After all, I certainly don't want some flabby couch dude running around my screen swinging a greatsword. Doesn't even make sense. Overall, make a fun game first and foremost. If devs want to pull a Rocksteady with the poor selling Suicide Squad game where they favor activism and identity at the expense of gameplay and storytelling, then that is for them to do. Go on ahead. On the other hand, if developers want to go sexy and fun, like Shipped Up has told to do with Stellar Blade, they are well within their rights to make an ass load of money. Fume as you like, and say what you like. It's up to the gamers to decide what they want to spend their hard-earned money on and determine a game's success. Games are in fact made for gamers. Now, as is simply clear, Stellar Blade is graphically excellent, exaggerated physics and all. However, is it a fun game to play? Is it a well-executed game development venture? Well, we're going to get right into that. As I can attest to with my time spent in the Stellar Blade demo, the answer to these questions is out and out yes. There is some great potential to be had here, and it is indeed more than just a smoke show. Now, when you get a look at this game and you see the footage I'm sure you've seen, you must be asking yourself, what genre does this exactly fall into? And I'll tell you, when I first launched the game, I really got some Nier Automata vibes. The music, the setting, the aesthetic, third-person action with a little companion bot floating around behind you, and the access to combat abilities that you have all certainly seem to point in the direction of Nier Automata. But when you actually get into the combat engagements with some very crisp dodge and parry mechanics that you must tailor to each enemy as you learn their patterns, along with rest points, level design, shortcuts, gear, and the general difficulty throughout the experience, these all seem to point decidedly to a Souls-like, rather than the bullet hell of Nier's design. In the end, it really is a fresh mashup of a Souls-like inspired by games such as Devil May Cry and Nier Automata. So, let's analyze this a little further, starting with combat. As aforementioned, Stellar Blade sports a dodge and parry system that is quite reminiscent of the sharp mechanics within Sekiro. Well-timed parries chip away at an enemy's balance bar and open them up to massive critical attacks. Perfect dodges and parries are also paired with a counterattack system that adds more combos as you progress the skill tree. Now, when it comes to the parry itself, it is pretty generous and very effective, while on the other hand, the dodge is admittedly lackluster. Dodges seem to have absolutely no iframes and cover a very short distance, making them pretty difficult to work with in the onset of the game. However, again, with the skill tree, there is a perfect dodge and double dodge that makes it a little bit more viable as a system. Now, you are going to have to get used to using it because, again, in the same vein of Sekiro, enemies have color-coded attacks that must be either dodged, parried, or avoided altogether. Now, let's have ourselves a look at these combat abilities. We have access to a special set of attacks which build up through the course of successful strikes and defenses. They stack up to multiple uses and all share the same gauge. The demo currently only shows us 4 of these that can be unlocked and improved with follow-up strikes. They may add more in the future. However, what we currently have access to is a set of repeated jabs, a wide arcing sweep, a standard slash combo, and a backflip kick that does balance damage. They all look nice, implement well, and have their application. Moving on, we have our bot companion that follows us around just like Nier Automata. It gives us access to ranged attacks, and I never really found a chance to use them during the demo, but I'm sure it has its uses. The bot also has a scanning ability for items, chests, and enemies that will go invisible on you. They also, it generally guides you around and helps with puzzles, but I'll come back to that momentarily. To follow that up, there is a grenade mechanic, and I was too interested in the melee combat anyway to bother with it, so that'll also be something to address in the future. Lastly, when it comes to combat, there are timed action events. Not sure how everybody else feels about those, but I'm not a huge fan. The timing is generous and the cutscenes are great, so make what you will of that. With combat out of the way, any good gamer is going to want to know, how's the difficulty in this game? Firstly, let me begin with the demo does have a normal and story, aka journalist mode. I do prefer there to be a standardized setting and difficulty so that the community has a sense of shared challenge and triumph. But I do respect that people just want to play a game and not get wrecked the entire time. So, to each their own. However, the experience on normal is a good time as a Souls-like enjoyer. I died a good few times learning enemy movesets and boss mechanics, though I did feel like a lot of that came from the really weak dodge mechanic and needing to spend a little more time and experience getting the sense of the game's pace down. Though the enemy variety and strike patterns do keep you on your toes, and you have an expansive tool set at your disposal, so you can kind of, gauge your own difficulty, if you will. Next, let's move on to level design and puzzles. The level that is featured within the demo isn't exactly super complicated, not a whole lot you can really do with the ruined city aesthetic. However, I'll give them credit. I know I missed a good few secrets and I never found the key code for this particular box. The pathing does fold in on itself in the typical Souls-like tradition with shortcuts. There's also an excellent use of verticality within this game. I mean, falling doesn't exactly give you insta-death, but there's definitely spots that require revisiting once you get skills like double jump. Traversal also does have its fair share of hand-holding, though. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset about that. You won't be getting lost or stuck much. The famous yellow paint highlights grab spots and directional points. There's even sometimes flat-out arrows that are pointing you in the right direction. Very conveniently placed. Stuff like this does diminish exploration's nuance and interest, and makes the game feel a lot more linear.
I can't reach the ladder.
Along the same line of hand-holding, I would tell you that there are puzzles both in chests and environmentals, but whenever you get a code for a chest, it straight out is given to you at the type-in screen, and that kind of makes it a series of unnecessary button presses. When it comes to the environmental puzzles, they're pretty much no-brainers as it is, but your bot will also laser point the answer out to you. So, once again, it's a little bit lame, journalist mode, I understand. These are minor gripes, and I'm sure it's intended just to get you back into combat as quickly as possible. Maybe when the full version comes out, there will be an option to turn that kind of stuff off. In conclusion, the demo ran really well for me. I had no skips, no massive frame drops, and experienced no major bugs. I had a minor spot where some debris got stuck to the character's hair, but that was more funny than anything and it was immediately gone. So, in summation, the game should be fun, gorgeous, and a worthwhile experience based on my demo play. So, take that as you will. It's going to be on my radar, and I'm loving seeing people get flustered over it though. Once again, this is Brutal Sloth. I hope this video was worthwhile for you. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. Take it easy all, and enjoy.